Witnessing a neighbor's love life can be a dramatic experience. From the highest highs, like a moonlit dance on a rooftop, to the lowest lows, like breaking up in front of the neighbor's cat. But sometimes, breakups can be a matter of life or death.
Oh my God.
Two construction workers are witnessing a couple's fiery breakup in a multi-unit building. The man behind the camera is working for the neighbors across the street. When he hears the couple shouting, he starts recording.
She about to hit him, bro. Oh, he said he gonna beat out of her. Oh my God. Oh my God, he just threw water at him. Going down.
Despite being doused with water, the woman's temper continues to flare. That's the downstairs neighbor, and now even she is being dragged into the drama. She leaves the porch and it would seem the confrontation ends. But things are about to really heat up.
She just lit the trash can on fire, dumped it in the living room. She's about to burn the house down, dude.
While the men aren't recording, the woman drags a trash can through the front door and shockingly lights it on fire inside the house.
I cannot actually believe it. And she's sitting there just chilling.
She's also taken the time to pull up a chair and grab a book to watch her handiwork.
Oh my God. This is now turned into a serious thing.
The men have just noticed the downstairs neighbor. She's trapped in the flaming house and needs help immediately.
Then get out of the house! It's on fire! Hurry! Come on, hurry, grab your stuff!
The alleged arsonist flees the scene before firefighters show up. The fire is now totally out of control, and the witnesses can do nothing but watch the home completely burn to the ground.
Oh my God, it's got worse. Oh my God, it's getting big.
Despite firefighters' best efforts, the multi-unit house is completely destroyed.
Oh my God.
Luckily, nobody is injured.
Roof just fell.
But 47-year-old Gail Mitwali is later arrested and charged with first and second-degree attempted murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree assault. She is still awaiting trial.
Oh my God.
And I got you on video that you're destroying my car.
Chatsworth, California. A dispute over a parking spot has sent this hammer-wielding neighbor into a rage.
Get the out of this neighborhood.
Yep. Cool, lady.
Call the police.
I'm calling. Don't worry.
The woman's neighbors have made claims of racism and harassment since they moved next door to her over a year ago. They dial 911.
Hi, I'm at one. My neighbor has two hammers in her hand and she's assaulting the car.
She's destroying property, and I have her on video.
Call the police.
As a result of her senseless attack on the car, the woman was later arrested for felony vandalism. She was released without bail and is currently awaiting trial.
I just bought my house in March of 2020. The first time I met Maria, she just kind of walked over like somebody who kind of owned the neighborhood and said, "Hi, so you're my new neighbor." I was like, "Yeah, hi."
I'm the kind of person who loves to get to know people. So I am that person who will go out of my way to make you a friend.
Once she settles in, Amber looks into renovating her bathroom, but has no idea where to start.
I was looking for recommendations from people on Facebook who had used a contractor to say, "I used this person, they did a great job, here's their number." Jordan, the woman that owns Colorado Dream Homes, got back to me really quickly. And when I showed her my Pinterest picture, she was like, "Oh yeah, we can do that."
The owner tells Amber the project can be done quickly for around $9,000.
I was told a week to max, and it ended up being 5 or 6. So it was kind of getting frustrating. I get that, life happens, and so I was trying to be really understanding.
But when it's finally finished, all that additional time doesn't equal additional quality.
I walked in and I looked at the tile work. I physically felt my heart sink into my stomach. It all looked like someone just threw it together and they were guessing on what to do. And then on Friday, she sent me the final invoice and she just started hounding me. It was, you need to pay by the end of the day. And I just kept saying, I'm at work. I'm not paying you until I get home and see it. And she said, are you refusing to pay?
The following morning, Amber's neighbor notices the contractor's truck parked out front and texts her.
Maria had been at my house the night before, and I had mentioned that I kind of had an uneasy feeling. And then I see that I have a message from Jordan saying, we're at your house to repossess our labor and our materials. So I immediately called Maria.
Maria rushes next door and is shocked at what she sees.
He started swinging and I started recording.
We put weeks into this, thousands of dollars into this.
I was really scared of whatever was going to happen.
This is my property. I have receipts for everything.
I do understand that you... Sir, please stop. Please stop.
Is somebody gonna pay me?
That's not taking back your stuff. It is our stuff. This is how we need to take it back because we solidly built the construction. Unfortunately, so it just fall off.
I'm more than happy to deal with the police. More than happy. More than happy.
He could have easily taken that sledgehammer and swung it at me. It was absolutely frightening.
No contractor in the state of Colorado will fix that. When they found out I took it back because you refused to pay me. No one.
We were all just in a state of shock about what had just taken place.
Terry Gregory and Jordan Cazares are later arrested and charged with burglary and criminal mischief.
I'm more than happy to deal with the police. More than happy.
Both are currently out on bond and awaiting trial. They have released a statement claiming they were simply repossessing Amber's shower for non-payment and had no intentions of property damage or intimidation.
I had this video of them doing this. I certainly did not want this to happen to anybody else. So I posted it on a contractors group on Facebook.
No contractor will fix that.
It definitely crossed my mind that posting this could result in more retaliation. But I just felt like the good neighbor thing to do is to tell your neighbors, do not hire these people. They are dangerous people.
Disgusted at Terry and Jordan's actions, local contractors offer to fix Amber's destroyed bathroom at no cost. Even more valuable, the entire experience has made Maria and Amber more than just neighbors.
Our friendship has definitely deepened in a variety of ways. I look forward to many more years of having her as my neighbor.
My biggest fear was having crappy neighbors, and I actually ended up with a really, really awesome neighbor.
We're in snowy Portage, Michigan. Two men are filming their neighbors stumbling across the street and getting into a confrontation with, of all things, his garbage can. It's not known what the garbage can did to prompt this outburst, but despite the man's hammer blows, it's not going anywhere.
Oh, come on, fall over. Come on.
A fistfight is difficult on regular flat terrain. One can only imagine how much harder it is to fight in 6 inches of Michigan snow. With beer can now in hand, the neighbor decides to let bygones be bygones between himself and the trash can, and decides to throw in the towel. We're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where a resident security camera records a neighbor out walking her dog. As any responsible dog owner will tell you, there's a right way to deal with this situation and a wrong way. This woman chooses to walk away without picking up. So our frustrated neighbors plan a surprise. And when the dog walker returns 2 days later, they're waiting.
Stop letting your dog shit on our lawn!
Clean up your dog poop. Excuse me, ma'am. Hey, you, clean up your dog poop. Stop letting your dog poop on my lawn. I have you on video. Come pick up this nice pile of that your dog left in my yard. I've been waiting for you for 2 days. You. Disgusting. Disgusting. Look at it. I have children here. That's your dog. Please pick it up. This will be every day. I will watch you every day. I have you on video. Pick up after your dog. Please pick up after your dog. Please pick up after your dog. Thank you for picking up the feces from my yard. I appreciate it greatly. Greatly appreciate it. Please leave my yard. You're trespassing. Get off my yard, you and your dog. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for being a courteous neighbor.
When Ethan Edwards moved to Hawaii in 2014, he thought he found his own private Shangri-La.
I live on what we call the Big Island of Hawaii. People could create their kind of own paradise because they could kind of be in their own little walled garden and had a choice to hang out with their neighbors. It is very possible that you could live here and not know the person across the street for 20 years.
But in 2018, everything changed. The Kilauea volcano had been erupting for a month, reclaiming the island at a rate of 6 football fields every hour. By the time Ethan, his partner, and some friends returned to their neighborhood, Leilani Estates, to process what happened, 70 homes had been lost, including their own.
This was a couple weeks after lava had actually taken the place that I lived. They kind of had established a system to let people in and out of Leilani, because one of the issues they were having is that people were coming in and stealing from other people's houses. Kind of this mentality of like, the lava's gonna take it anyways, kind of who cares? And so they had to set up a system of security. We had lived there, so we were able to get past like all the security. We were about 500 feet away from where our house used to be. So we just parked on the side of the road, and my partner, she got out and she was just looking at the lava and just crying about, the grief. And it was her like letting it go. Obviously the lava was happening, but had no idea what we were about to experience. It just kind of came out of nowhere. And when I say it, I mean this man.
It was the first and last time Ethan would meet his neighbor, John Hubbard.
It's just kind of trying to have dialogue, but there wasn't communication. It was like, here's a man with a gun pointed at my head. It's like, you need to get out of here. And he didn't really care.
The men have no idea that they live on the same street, and Hubbard won't listen to Ethan's pleas.
I live here, you get out of here!
He wasn't really asking any questions. He was straight up just demanding, get out of here, you shouldn't be here.
We live here on Hokuvu!
And I was like, hey man, like I don't know who you are. We live here, this is a public road. We have a right to be here. He fired twice, and there was this sense of escalation, is like he was becoming more and more serious.
No!
It's like the first shot was a little off, and the next shot was closer to my head. I didn't want the third shot to be me.
Are you kidding? Oh my God, stop! Stop! Are you kidding me? No! I live here! I live here! Out of here! I live here! You get out of here! We live here on Hokuvu!
And for me at that point, it was like, all right, this guy's got a gun. He's obviously not listening. He's in a super aggressive, violent state. It's time for us to get out of here.
To save his own life, Ethan had to think fast under fire.
So at the moment that I realized there was no communicating with this person to have, like, kind of find a peaceful resolution, I was like, okay, either I'm gonna get shot here or someone else is gonna get shot behind me. There's really no neutralizing someone in that state that isn't willing to listen. All you can really do is ultimately walk away and hope they don't shoot you or anyone else. And that's what we ended up doing.
Get out of here.
Ethan's read on the situation may have saved his life and those of his friends.
We were all able to get in our cars and drive up the road. At that point, we called the police and we just hung out there for about a half an hour in our car just in case he came after us. Kind of in shell shock, just like processing.
That's when Ethan found an unexpected savior.
And so we're sitting there on the side of the road and this car comes by and just parks next to us, and this woman comes out and she's like, "Oh my gosh, are you kids okay? I caught the whole thing on camera. That was insane." Which is amazing because there's no shadow of a doubt kind of what happened from that point.
She was a neighbor named Patty Jones.
But the way they were arguing, I thought this was weird. It's just that this guy wasn't acting. He wasn't acting with aloha. So I pulled out my phone and started recording at exactly the minute he pulled that gun out of his shorts. I wasn't worried about myself. I was more worried about Ethan.
I live here. I live here. Out of here. I live here. You get out of here.
My concern was just to protect everybody that was down there, so I had to get the police involved.
The police arrived on the scene and arrested 61-year-old John Hubbard. During Hubbard's trial, Ethan learned that his neighbor was a convicted felon, going back to a drug trafficking charge in Kentucky in 1976.
John had actually had a past felony and wasn't legally allowed to have a gun. And so in terms of charges, there was, I think, initially like 11 different charges.
Hubbard was convicted of terroristic threatening and for being a felon in possession of a firearm.
He did end up going to jail. I did talk to people that were friends with him, and on a good day, he was probably a nice neighbor and a good person. And stressful situations mixed with this entitlement of people believing that it's okay to be violent and force other people just came out that day. And I hope we can just move on and live our lives and more peacefully going forward.
Many people try to relocate to a quiet suburb, but some get more than they bargained for. In 2009, Brad Cresson, his wife, and 3 children moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico to start their new lives.
We actually picked a neighborhood that was far out from the city. It was a safe neighborhood away from any of the kind of crimes and activities that would go along with the city areas. The security camera really did give us a comfort of mind, a peace of mind. So we just watched animals cross the yard in the middle of the night and things like that we caught on camera, and watched our kids come and go.
One night, Brad is getting ready to put out the trash when he spots something on the security camera monitor.
I just happened to glance up, and there was a large white object in one of the 8 cameras. It's like, wow, that is not right.
Suddenly, the object moves. It's a man. His face is hidden by a hoodie, and he's staring through a window. Brad's teenage daughter's window.
I grabbed my flashlight and I walked out there and I asked him, what are you doing? What's going on? And fast as he walked past me, he started turning into a run. And I kind of chased him down the edge of the driveway.
The man gets away, and Brad immediately alerts his family, dials 911, and reviews the camera footage.
I got my family to watch the video, and we were all shocked. Everyone was shocked.
What they see is every parent's nightmare. The man had been at the girl's window before, first for 6 minutes, and later for 4 minutes.
He was kneeling down to look through the blind. It's beyond anybody's imagination of what we thought could ever happen.
Brad's 16-year-old daughter and her 14-year-old sister are terrified.
My 2 daughters, they didn't want to sleep in their rooms. They felt vulnerable and violated. Emotionally, we were all distraught.
Brad turns to neighbors to identify the man. They can. He's a neighbor.
We found out that he just lived like 5 houses up the street. It's just really baffling how we had never seen this person.
Not only is 33-year-old Ventura Salas a neighbor with a family of his own, But he's also former law enforcement and had been fired a few years earlier from his job as a county sheriff's corporal.
That kind of shook up the neighborhood. People were pretty riled up. They were pretty angry.
Ventura Salas is charged with a window peeping misdemeanor. He and his family quickly move out of the neighborhood. The peeping Tom escapes a felony charge because his victim wasn't unclothed while he watched her. Brad Crescent is in court to see Ventura Salas jailed for the maximum sentence of 90 days.
Get a pretty good look at him, and that was kind of nerve-wracking, kind of chilling, make the hair stand up on your neck. He did say that he was sorry for what he had put us through. Dad to dad, man to man, you need to stop doing this. You need to solve this issue in your life. And if going to jail for 90 days helps, well then, I hope that helps,
Although the incident sends shockwaves throughout the neighborhood, Brad said something positive does come out of it.
I think that this kind of thing, it just deepened the relationships that we had with the neighbors. The friendliness of the neighborhood in our, our local area, it made it nicer for us.
Many folks dream of leaving the big city for a quiet life in the countryside, and Ian Walton is one of them.
I grew up in Hollywood. As soon as I turned 18, I started heading up into the mountains.
Ian makes the remote, idyllic town of Otis, Oregon, his new home.
It is gorgeous here. This place is basically a paradise on earth.
As Ian settles into his new life, he gets to know the neighbor who lives down the street.
Initially, when I met him, we kind of focused on things we had in common. We'll shoot the crap and be friendly neighbors.
But one night, he sees another side to his new drinking buddy.
I had just gotten paid and I got a 6-pack of beer and went over there. As I was walking up to his door, I hear him yelling on the phone, "I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill him." He's got this handgun sitting out on the table. I didn't really realize that, he was going over to the guy's house later that night to actually go get him.
Ian learns from others in the neighborhood that his friend didn't kill the man he was threatening on the phone, but he did put him through hell.
What I've been told is he took the guy and his wife hostage in their house and just terrorized them for hours and hours, and it was over something petty like $500.
Ian's neighbor goes on the run, but is eventually arrested and jailed for burglary and coercion.
I think he did 2 or 3 years in a medium security prison. Once he got out, I didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore.
Although Ian wants to avoid his neighbor, it proves impossible. Living on a one-track road, he has to pass his neighbor's house every day, whether walking his dog or driving his car. And he must encounter not only him, but his new friends in the neighborhood, who Ian feels are not very friendly. As a precaution, Ian starts recording his daily walks with his dog, Loki.
Loki is the sweetest, most gentle creature pretty much I've ever met. Dog.
Out of the blue, the neighbor's dog attacks Loki until Ian scares him off with a stun gun.
I was furious. The attack damaged Loki so much psychologically.
The police fine his neighbor for having an unruly dog off leash. But Ian doesn't trust him to keep his dog secure. So, on future walks, Ian is even more prepared. And when the neighbor's dog is off leash again, Ian has bear spray. Later, when Ian checks the security footage, he sees his neighbor walking close to the camera, revealing a hunting belt, which includes a revolver. As a recent felon, Ian's neighbor shouldn't be carrying a gun. Ian feels very threatened.
He's basically waging psychological warfare.
So, Ian feels compelled to better protect himself.
I started carrying a pistol. The reason I wear a camera on my wrist is I figured, if I ever had to use the gun, the camera would show exactly what I was seeing at the time I was shooting.
One day, after picking up the mail, Ian's worst fears come true. As he returns home, he finds his neighbor standing in the middle of the road and brandishing a knife.
He instantly starts shouting threats. The first thing I hear is, I'm gonna beat out of you.
Down the road, man.
Get out of the road! Away from me! One of his closest friends, decided he was gonna hop in his truck and stop me from getting to my house.
As Ian reverses, he sees the truck heading in his direction.
At that point, he's coming after me, so I threw the car in reverse and I said, I'm gonna go fly up this driveway or I'm gonna get onto private property.
Ian grabs his camera and his gun and gets out to confront the driver of the truck.
You're in trouble now. Little did I know that at that point they were calling 911.
This man in front of your house with a handgun in his hand, pointing it at people.
Get the away from me! Get away from me! Sheriff showed up, and it was actually a deputy that I knew. Told him, come in my house, look at the film I shot.
Neither Ian or anyone else is arrested over the incident. To this day, Ian refuses to leave the Oregon home he shares with his mother, despite feeling scared of his neighbor, no matter how much he tries to ignore him.
I never know what's going to come out of there at me. Is it going to be a vicious dog? Are they going to shoot at me with BB guns? Are they going to come tearing out of the driveway in their car, and make me jump out of the road? It never crossed my mind that, I would be dealing with a neighbor basically trying to force me to move with threats and harassment. But, I could never go back to the city. This is our home. First of all, I would feel like a coward if I left. And second of all, I would just be in this state of rage for the rest of my life. Basically that, they got away with it. So I'm just not having it.
Now to Queens, New York, where lifelong resident Joseph Aspermonte lives in a nice little home, only a quick train ride away from the Big Apple.
I've lived in this neighborhood all my life, but I moved into the house that I'm currently living in back in 2014. The neighborhood that I live in is row houses, which is common in Queens. I get along with everybody on the block. It's a pretty tight-knit community, but small, kind of off the beaten path, which is nice.
Shortly after moving into his new home, Joseph discovers that one neighbor has a mouth as tough as the streets of New York itself.
Yourself and drop dead!
I was warned by the people that previously owned the house that the lady next door was a little aggressive and she might come out and yell at me.
Yourself and drop dead!
It's beautiful.
Yourself and drop dead!
My first experience with her was when I was in my driveway with my garage door open. She started screaming about my garage door being open somehow would make her house cold.
Close that door!
What for?
It's cold!
That's all right, I'm warm.
I'm cold next door! Close that door!
The houses are attached, but there is a big giant cinder block wall between my garage and her garage. And there's no way that having my garage door open would make her house cold.
What does my door open have to do?
Yourself and drop dead!
She does have that one motto that she keeps going back to, that F yourself and drop dead.
Yourself and drop dead! Yourself and drop dead! Yourself and drop dead!
In that order. I guess I couldn't drop dead and then go myself. Wouldn't work. All right, myself and then drop dead.
This seems to be her go-to.
As the years go by, Joseph's neighbor shows no sign of slowing down, quickly flying off the handle at the smallest things.
No!
Yes, take that ladder off my property!
It's not on your property!
Even something as simple as a line on the curb from the city is enough to set her off.
Look at the curb, you
What happened to the curb?
yourself and drop dead. Look at it!
She's just pissed off at the world, I guess. She just doesn't like anybody. I get the brunt of it because I happen to live next door to her, but she's this way with everybody in the neighborhood. Down the block, across the street.
I'm telling her, take that ladder off my property!
Just people driving by.
In my driveway. Get the out!
And she will unleash her wrath on anybody.
Get the out!
There are times that I worry about her safety just because of the way she acts with people.
Get the out of my driveway!
In one of these episodes, the police were actually called, not by me. What happened was one of the cars pulled over in her driveway while she was sweeping. And that didn't sit well with her, so she started screaming at him.
Get the out of my driveway!
And then she took a broom and she started smacking the roof of his car and started making dents in it. So bad that he actually called the cops on her.
Yourself and drop dead!
And when the cops came, I had to intervene. I just went over to the cops and I said, listen, she's upset, so if you don't mind, if you would just let her kind of slide on this, that it would be great. And they did.
Do you know where I live? No, you don't. I don't give a where you live!
The past couple of years, she has been very quiet and to herself. I believe she's also maybe not in the best of health now that she's getting older and realizes she may have to someday rely on her neighbors for help. And if that were ever the case, I would be there to help her because she is a person and I wouldn't let her go down.
Do you want a hot chocolate?
Yourself and drop dead.
All right.
Bel Air, California is known for being one of the fanciest parts of LA. And its many mansions and large plots of land serve as an ideal way to have some privacy from neighbors. Enough privacy for midday skinny dipping in a secluded backyard pool. The only problem? This naked man doesn't live at this house. He's a total stranger. Now inside the house, the naked intruder moves from room to room. At one point, even commandeering a pair of shoes. Luckily, the homeowner is out, but she's been alerted to the man's presence via the security app on her phone. Shocked and scared, she immediately calls her husband, and he's upstairs.
No, someone came inside the house.
Inside whose house?
Our son of the camera.
On the driveway? Where's someone?
Inside our house.
The homeowner checks outside for any signs of trouble. But little does he know, the trouble is about to find him.
Yes, Nancy, you can open the door.
Hey, what are you doing here? In my house. What are you doing here? I'm gonna call the police right now. I'm gonna call the police right now. No. Get out of the house.
Concerned that the intruder may attack him, the homeowner takes off by climbing over his bedroom balcony and onto his car. He leaves the property and dials 911. The naked intruder is still at the house when police arrive. In a shocking twist, they discovered that he killed two of the family's pet birds. He is identified as a 34-year-old homeless man living on the streets nearby. He is charged with 4 felony counts. 1 count of first-degree residential burglary with a person present, vandalism, and 2 counts of cruelty to an animal. He is still awaiting trial.